Hey, what's going on? This is James, and just going to do a video here. Probably won't be a quick one, at least 15, 20 minutes, just from all the articles I found just in the last 24 hours. And each one of them is just freaking me out because there's so much going on, and I wanted to share with you what I'm seeing. So before I get started, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the bell, get all the notifications, all that shebang, and appreciate it. So let's start with what I was just finding out recently. I was in a Discord and they were talking about face masks being mandatory in certain states, and I didn't even wasn't even aware that anything was even changing, and everything's changing so quickly daily. And some of this, let's go over some of this. Face masks become mandatory in Pennsylvania. Here's what you need to know. Says requiring shoppers and workers at essential stores to wear face masks in public starting at 8 p.m. Sunday. The order comes across almost 3 weeks after Governor Tom Wolf asked, but didn't require everyone to be masked when they're anywhere near others. The masks people wear in general can be cloth. Um, so essentially, it's kind of what I'm seeing across the board. A lot of governors that didn't outright demand it are now starting to take those steps to make it mandatory. And there's a lot of reasons why I'm against it. I'll go over those reasons here in this video, besides the fact that I believe that this is being hyped up way more than needs to be. And the biggest thing that I have against all this is a couple weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago, they were telling us not only do not have to wear masks. They don't want us to wear masks. They don't work. Remember that? Masks don't work. And the experts say that if you don't have protection, it doesn't matter. And wearing cloth, especially, it's all for show, man. It's to make everybody feel better about it. And it's just very disconcerting to me. So let's go on to the next one. Walmart makes face masks mandatory for employees. Walmart has announced a change in its face mask policy for employees. Once optional, masks will now be mandatory for workers in its stores, and I would quit that place right now if it was me. Distribution and fulfillment centers and in its corporate office is beginning Monday. Apologize, I'm tired. I haven't had much sleep in the last 24 hours. Company will supply masks to employees who don't have their own. New policy comes 2 weeks after the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention updated its guidance on face masks, recommending cloth face coverings in public settings where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain, grocery stores, pharmacies, blah, 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 blah. All right. So Walmart, again, why are you shopping at Walmart? Why are you still going to Walmart? I really do question that. If you live in a city that's it, I get it. Like that's the only place you can go. But for someone like myself that's got several stores, King Supers or whatever, Walmart is the absolute last place I would go, especially with all their weirdness of shutting aisles down and having loudspeakers out in the parking lot and all that nonsense. Yeah, I'm blocking your ads, and I'm going to continue to block them, which is weird because it was letting me do it before. Face masks are now mandatory in Pennsylvania. Okay, so we just went over that. It's just another article from another. I think that might even be the same one. Sonoma Valley Sun. Starting Friday, face masks are mandatory in Sonoma County. As of 2:01 Friday, April 17th, face masks are homemade or otherwise are mandatory in Sonoma County. Again, homemade. Just put a mask on, man. Just, you know, that's going to save us, man. That cloth that will not stop the virus from going through it, the common cold from going through it, uh, it's just not going to help. So it's all for show, and it's causing problems. I got an article here that was very disturbing of what I saw, of how people are starting to react to people not wearing the mask. Face masks mandatory in Maryland. Here are 3 key things to know. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan announced additional measures to reduce the spread of coronavirus in the state with an executive order, April 15th, executive order. Write it into law. They tell you got to wear your mask, or you're going to go to jail. You're going to be fined. You're going to be put in jail. And anybody that doesn't think that's not going, even if it's not worded in there, that's where it's headed. And here's all the wonderful places you get to go if you, or you have to wear it if you want to have a mask, or you got to have a mask. Yeah, so this is disturbing to me because I had just said in the Discord, "Hey man, this isn't going on in Colorado." I just found out, and I did notice it today. Everybody in King Supers had their mask on that was working there, and so Colorado grocers require employees to wear face masks. Again, even though they told us weeks ago, don't wear a mask. If you buy a mask, you're selfish. They don't work. Now you got to wear a cloth mask. It doesn't stop the spittle, you know. I mean, really, that the even the ones that I have for like that my boss gave me for you would use for painting or whatever. Those aren't even those don't even stop the particles because they're so tiny from coming through. So I just question what it's all about aside from getting us to do what we want. They want, right? So Governor Polis, wonderful Governor Polis of Colorado's writing an executive order into law requiring masks for critical workers. I don't know. My biggest thing is common sense. You know, we're all adults and like we can decide if we're going to wear a mask or not. And I don't know. I'm just starting to get really fed up with all of this because it's not just this, it's all the other articles, all the fake news, all the hyped up hospitals that are empty, all the crying nurses, the just all the BS that I've been talking about over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. It all adds up to nonsense, right? And there's people that are literally afraid of their shadow, man. This guy right here, he's got his little thing over his face, his cloth thing. Ain't helping, bro. It ain't helping. This is the one I was telling you about that's disturbing. Family not wearing face covers barred from storm shelter during deadly tornado. And they had one face mask. You know, I guess they didn't see that there was some kind of a notice that said, hey, you can't get in these shelters unless you have them. They didn't go on Facebook and see. Not everybody goes to Facebook. I don't. I hate Facebook. It says the guy actually opened the door. He motioned, do you have a mask? I held up my mask, said I have one mask. I can put it on the child. He motioned no and shut the door. And they were forced to leave and try to get back home in the middle of there was 25 tornadoes that night. Massive damage. But now you don't have your mask on. You can't come in. This is what's coming. You know, you're not gonna be able to do anything without this mask. But you know, a lot of people are saying, hey man, it's almost over, dude. You know, April 26th in Colorado, it's going to get raised. You know, they're going to start letting people go back to normal. This is all going to go away. Well, you know, there's a Harvard study says social distancing may last until 2022. But don't worry, it's not as grim as it sounds. And that includes the masks. And so you guys prepared to wear a mask for the next couple of years to go anywhere? Because I'm not. Not when I'm seeing what I'm seeing right before my freaking eyes. You know, that's the thing. I have eyeballs and I watch the news and I see what's happening and I see the corruption and I see the fact that what they're saying doesn't add up. And it's one step after another, after another, after another, after another. And at what point do people stand up and say enough? All right, so showed you this in my last video. New York City adds nearly 4,000 people who never tested positive to the virus. Right, limited number of tests have been available until now. Only deaths where a person had tested positive were counted among these killed by the virus in New York. So essentially, they decided to add 3,700 people to its death tolls who were presumed to have died from the virus, jumping it by 17%. Right. The death toll. Okay, so this is going on nationwide, probably worldwide. And, you know, ever since Trump came out and said, hey, we're going to start opening the country, man, the numbers skyrocketed, dude. And and now it's transmittable to 60% of people don't know that they have the virus. It just keeps going up and up and up, and the fear is out off the charts from what they're saying. So what is the end goal of this, right? Well, this is the end goal. Government plans to pay hospitals for COVID-19 care for uninsured. Sounds good, right? It's like, okay, they're uninsured. Government's going to pay the bills. They don't have to pay it. That's just one little tidbit of why these numbers are being manipulated, right? Billions going to hospitals based on Medicare billings, not COVID-19. CV. I just blew that. I'm not supposed to be saying the names or else they start not. It's a lot of videos not showing up in people's feeds because of certain words being said or in the titles. My last video that I did about God, it's just not being pushed, and it's because I put it in the title. So it's gonna have to be very careful on how you word things and what you put in there, because if you want people to see it, you kind of have to play the game, right? So this is basically just showing it. It starts going into details here about how much hospitals are getting paid per, like, okay, it says right here, states such as Minnesota, Nebraska, Montana, which the pandemic has touched relatively lightly, are getting more than $300,000 per reported CV-19 case in the $30 billion. Okay. On the other hand, New York, the worst hit state, would receive only $12,000 per case. Florida is getting $132,000 per case. Get the picture? See what's happening? Money. Huge. Minnesota senator and doctor. Hospitals get paid more to list patients as CV-19 and 3 times as much if the patient goes on ventilator. You got it? If you don't have it by now, you're not going to get it. I'll spell it out for you, man. Each case gets money, and 4,000 people, 3,700, right, in New York, just are now presumed to have the virus. And so now 3,700 cases will now get money for those hospitals. They're getting money for the virus. And so there's a huge incentive, and it's happening, man. They are overinflating the cases to get money, billions of dollars, while we're locked up inside and we're looking at each other like everybody's sick, when we're not seeing that outside of the mainstream media that's been lying to us for 4 years. Russia, 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 the Mueller probe, over and over and over, one thing after another. Boom, boom, boom. Lie, lie, lie. Got to wake up. Light at the end of the tunnel. Virginia lockdown protesters reopen the state. We're going broke. All right. President Trump said cure for the Chinese virus might be more deadly than the Asiatic pathogen itself. And that's exactly the case, right? So we're seeing a lot of protests. Okay. And I say light at the end of the tunnel, question mark. Because I don't think it is. And I'll explain why. We're being held hostage. Minnesota governor eases coronavirus. Might as well say lockdown after angry outcry. Okay. So people are standing up and the governments are backing off a little bit. And people need to stand up more. And we'll see here in a second. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz eases some coronavirus restrictions on outdoor recreation. Okay. It's all dictatorial. It's still, as they're allowing us to go back outside in certain instances, right? Texas eases rules. California forms task force virus update. Okay, so Texas is easing a little bit of the rules as well because they of all the different protests. But this next one in Florida was the main thing that got my attention. It sparked, I saw something that worried me a little bit. So Florida, South Carolina reopen beaches as states begin to loosen restrictions. The governors are giving the green light. Thank God, man. Thank God these governors are letting us go to the beach, despite concerns over the continuing CV outbreak. And the funny thing is they're not they're not changing anything what they're doing here. And this is the big thing. Jacksonville Beach Mayor Charlie Latham, Neptune Beach Mayor Elaine Brown, and Atlantic Beach Mayor Ellen Glasser said their beaches would reopen exclusively for exercise, not tanning or congregating in large groups. Just to be clear, this is an opportunity for people to get out or come out to the beach to exercise a couple times a day. It's not sunbathing opportunity. You hear that, slave? You stay inside, you come out, we'll let you come out twice a day, like the prison yards. You can exercise for a couple hours a day. Don't get too close to people. And if you stop, we're going to put you in jail. And you don't think that's coming. We're seeing that all over the world. We're seeing that in the UK and other places that don't have the rights we have, that have allowed their rights to slip down the slippery slope over the last decade or two, where we're just now starting. And they're going to tell us. They're going to tell us where we can go, when we can go. You got to wear a mask. You can't wear a mask. A mask is wrong. You're selfish for wearing a mask. You need to wear a mask. It doesn't work. It does work. Get the picture? CBC instructs kids on how to shut down their parents' conspiracy theories. And this is actually kind of disturbing. They're pretty much is just telling people that your you know, in Australia, they're telling you to report people. This is in Canada, and they're not quite going that far, but they're telling the kids, okay, look, your dad might come to you and he might have a weird, wacky conspiracy. So, send them a real link, a link that's approved by Facebook and their fact checkers, and we will, we'll let you know what's real and what's not, even though your eyes should see it. And if they're not seeing it by now, I question whether you're going to see it at all, ever. Facebook to issue warnings to users who have linked or clicked on coronavirus misinformation. And I've already said it so many times, I might as well just throw it out there. Who knows what the heck? It can't be monetized anyway. I just want it to spread. So Facebook is banning conspiracy theories about the virus as determined by someone who worked in the Wuhan biolab. All right. So you get that? The person that oversees it worked in the biolab in China. So this is her, Danielle Anderson, Dr. Danielle Anderson. You can believe her too, because she's a doctor. Facebook fact checker worked at Wuhan biolab, ruled out virus leak while debunking articles. Facebook fact checker was debunked articles suggesting that the CV-19 may have leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, has a giant conflict of interest. She worked at the institute, which is now suspected of accidentally leaking the hyper-virulent virus, which has killed over 130,000 people and cast the global economy into chaos. Says Danielle Anderson, who worked at Duke University NUS Medical School lab in Singapore, also contributed to Science Feedback, which Facebook has been using to slap false information labels on articles claiming that CV-19 may have originated at the Wuhan Institute, where Anderson worked with bat coronavirus. Quick search of Anderson's publication reveals no fewer than 9 collaborations with Dr. Peng Zhao, a Wuhan scientist experimenting on bat CV, the mention of whom may result in a Twitter ban. Yeah, you don't want to post this on Twitter. You'll start getting banned. Facebook's pulling them. And it's just article after article proving what we're seeing. So if you want to look into Danielle Anderson, you can find out a lot about her. Okay. It says Dr. Danielle Anderson. This is from their Duke NUS Medical School directory bio. This is in her bio. This is what I think, pretty sure she put this in there. Dr. Daniel Anderson is the scientific director of Duke NUS Medical School, ABSL 3 laboratory. In January 2020, Assistant Professor Anderson and her team isolated SARS CoV 2 from a clinical sample from one of the first COVID 19 patients in Singapore. From this, she helped to develop a test kit for COVID 19, which has vitally assisted the Singapore authorities with its contact tracing efforts. And it's set to make probably 10 to 20 billion dollars. So yeah, there's not a conflict of interest there either. Dr. Anderson's research interests include understanding the virus host relationship of a diverse group of medically important negative stranded RNA viruses that include measles virus, mumps virus, and the Nipah virus. It says these paramyxoviruses are not only responsible for a high degree of uh, morbidity and mortality worldwide, but also cause encephalitis. In addition, Dr. Anderson utilizes novel diagnostic platforms for the identification of not only new paramyxoviruses, I don't know, but also other clinically relevant emerging infectious diseases such as MERS and the Zika virus. So she worked in that lab, helped make the test kit, set to make billions of dollars, and is fact checking the lab that she worked in with the Chinese, and that's not a conflict of interest, right? Okay. See if I can figure out which. There we go. All right. Memos leaked to AP. Associated Press show China knew COVID 19 was likely severe pandemic, while WHO said it wasn't. It says the documents clearly state that the true scale of the virus outbreak was not to be publicly disclosed. Internal Chinese government documents obtained by the Associated Press prove that Chinese Communist President Xi Jinping knew for sure that the outbreak of coronavirus in China was an epidemic and was highly contagious between humans in mid January. Yet simultaneously, China told the World Health Organization that there was no evidence of human to human transmission. You remember that? Because that was actually mainstream news. The document shows that Xi knew that the risk of transmission and spread was high, yet the Chinese government sat on the information for almost a whole week. And at the same time, they were running around the world snatching up the masks everywhere and everything else that people need to battle it. Ah. CV-19 is a man-made virus. All right. Yeah. Crackpot must have said that. Oh, wait. This is the HIV discoverer. The says it could have been created in the lab. This is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. It says GilmoreHealth.com. Robert Miller writes that contrary to the narrative that this is being pushed by the mainstream, that CV-19 virus was the result of a natural mutation and that it was transmitted to humans from bats via pangolins. Dr. Luc Montagnier, the man who discovered the HIV virus back in 1983, disagrees and is saying that the virus was man-made. Says Professor Luc Montagnier, 2008 Nobel Prize winner for medicine, claims that SARS-CoV-2 is a manipulated virus that was accidentally released from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Chinese researchers are said to have used coronavirus in their work to develop an AIDS vaccine. HIV DNA fragments are believed to have been found in the SARS-CoV-2 genome. We knew that the Chinese version of how the coronavirus emerged from was increasingly under attack, but here's a thesis that tells a completely different story about the CV-19 pandemic, which is already responsible for more than 110,000 deaths worldwide. Maybe. Yeah. All right. Mainstream media finally admits CV-19 came from the Wuhan bioweapon lab. Man, I cannot talk. Yeah. Yeah, this is where it goes into a little bit more detail here on what he said. Yeah. You just have to read this article. Whatever I pulled it for, I don't see it. And so China revises Wuhan coronavirus death toll, says there is no cover up. The Wuhan coronavirus death toll rises 50% after China claims to revise figures because they were lying the whole time. You know, they kept telling us, "Oh, we got it under containment. We don't know no deaths here." Um, yeah, and then this, Bill Gates. If you watch this, like he over the last several interviews he's done as he's talking about these vaccines and he's talking about mass death and he's saying that there's going to be 750,000 people that are going to have bad reactions and die to this minimum, but we're going to have to do it for the greater good. And he's smiling and laughing the whole time. It's very bizarre. You get a chance to check it out. I would suggest you don't take the mark and or the mark of the beast for that matter, which seems to be somehow tied to the tattoo stuff that's going on with his vaccine they want to do, but who knows. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. I mean, my main thing is like to sum it all up, they're playing us. They've been playing us this entire time. Even the restriction being lightened to go give us prison yard access to go to the beach to exercise. Um, it's to slow down the people standing up. It's to stop us from protesting. It's we don't need to not for them to let us do a couple more things. We need to have our lives back. We need to have them stop lying to us, and people need to be held accountable for everything that's been going on over the last month and a half, 2 months, because there's a lot of weird stuff going on, and there's a lot of agendas to be had, a lot of money to be made for a lot of people, and a lot of our rights are slipping away, and we're just in the vein of being safe. I go by these signs on the interstate every day while I'm driving to work here or there, and it just keeps telling me to stay safe, stay home, and not going to stay safe, stay home. I'm going to live my life, stand up. And I would suggest we all do that because soon we won't have any rights left and there will be no turning back. There will be no protesting. We're not under martial law. Quarantine is for the sick, not for the healthy. Would it make more sense logically to quarantine the sick, quarantine the elderly, or anybody else that's afraid? You stay inside. Let the rest of us live our life and let's see what happens. Because I guarantee the numbers aren't going to be skyrocketing unless the media wants to lie to us and paint that picture so that we acquiesce. We sit down, we shut up, we be a good slave. I'm not going to be a good slave. I suggest you don't be a good slave. And I suggest subscribe to my channel. Like I said before, I want to get to at least 1,000. That's the magic number for the algorithms to actually push your videos. And I just feel this constant, deep urge to let people know what's going on. Every time I see something, I've got all these things going through my head. God's having me. It's like literally, I'm seeing articles, and they're already being lined out in order to present to you. So, yeah, you don't know Jesus Christ, I would suggest you know him now. And let's stand up. Let's push back. Let's take this country back before we lose it. And we're like the UK, and we're being told to get inside out of our own gardens. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check you next time.